here we are, January 26th, heading to the second racetrack of the year. This time I'm going down to Summit Point in West Virginia. So pretty early morning to drive down this way. This is a new track that I've never been to. Pretty excited to visit it. And today we're taking the GTI. This car, some of my friends are familiar. It's been a little bit of a challenge, a little bit of an interesting road. It's one of those cars that I wasn't shopping for a car and just scrolling Facebook one day, and a friend of mine posted it for sale. It's got springs on it and a tune, and it's pretty well set up for autocross. Would also be a decent track car. It suffered an engine failure in the spring of last year. So it's a pretty clean car. I knew that it was well built, well prepared for the class. All the right parts on it. I knew two of the previous owners who are both, very meticulous owners. So it was kind of the right car to rescue. Working for Audi, we have familiarity with the EA88 engine, which is the same 2-liter that would be in an A3 Q3. It seems like it shares a lot of parts with the Q5s and the A4s as well. So I figure that the challenge of putting it back together would be nothing for my guys. So decided to go for it. Of course, drew up all kinds of reasons why it would be a good idea to get my wife on board. And I thought, well, it's a small car. It'd be nice to teach my daughter how to drive, and on the weekends I could go and do some track stuff. These winter events, have always been on my bucket list to do, but it's just never really worked out with the cars that I had at the time. So bought the car, towed it out to my shop foreman's house, kind of against his wishes. He's like, oh man, I got a lot going on. It's gonna be a while before I get to it. I'm not in a hurry. And it was. It was about 3.5 months or so before he started the project. I missed the first couple autocrosses I really wanted to get to. But eventually we got it put back together, and it was kind of a mixture between replacing the failed parts, which on cylinder number 1 it had suffered from low speed pre-ignition. It looks like there was a crack in the casting from the number 1 cylinder piston. And that's what was causing it to have low compression. Actually, when I went to pick it up with the trailer, it barely had enough juice to pull onto the trailer at all. It ran, but not very well. So fixed that issue. Did a lot of maintenance stuff while we were in there. The timing chains are common for the car, right? Tensioner, all that stuff, and then some, while you're in there, aftermarket parts. The goal for the car, once I got it all put back together, it was like, well, racing for me has always been fun, to just throw a bunch of friends in cars and let's just go and have some fun and see who can win, right? It's kind of like, going karting for the day, with a bunch of friends or something to me. So I set up with on a weekend, there's 2 races. I set up with one friend for Saturday, another friend for Sunday. There was a race the following weekend. I set up with a different friends. I was like, this is gonna be a blast. Most of all of them had GTIs before. So they're all familiar with the car. I was like, this is gonna be a good time. So went up to the first event with a friend that I hadn't seen in a while. Made it through the morning. The car's a DSG car, an automatic car. We were kind of adjusting to that a little bit. We're both used to manual transmission. go out for the afternoon, and I figure, well, I'm gonna ride with you, see what the car's doing for you. You know, you ride with me, we'll see what the car's doing for me, and we'll try to you know, hone it in a little bit. We had the car warming up, you know, in grid and everything, and it was fine. And as soon as he left the line, I could hear something was off, and I battled in my head of like, you know, do I tell him to stop, or just, you know, there's no way that it could be an engine noise. We just built the thing, you know, it's probably some stupid heat shield or something. Let him finish the run, and we get back into grid, and it's like, you know, it really doesn't sound good. Let me check things out. As soon as we popped the hood and he gave it a little bit of RPMs, it definitely sounded internal to me. Sounded bottom end. I knew pretty quickly our day was done. Luckily, we had drove there separately. I got a ride home from him. Came back up the next day with a borrowed truck and trailer again to get the thing home. Well, actually, we towed it to the dealership. Tore it back down another 3 months later, and found that number 2, so different cylinder than the original problem, had a bearing that was all torn up. Now I had put new rods in the car, put new bearings in the car. All of that was brand new. Trashed one of the rods, trashed the bearing pretty bad. And because it kind of ground the bearing into the crank, it trashed the crank as well. All the gaskets that we just had apart, we had to do all of that again, right? Everything back apart, engine back on the stand, torn back down. At least with it being at the dealership this time, I got my hands in there. I've never worked with an engine before, so it was cool to you know, I've seen it happen many times, so it was cool to actually do some of it myself. There was maybe a certain connection that I have with the car now, having a lot of the parts that make it run in my hand at one point. So new rods again, new crank, new bearings, new main bearings now because we had the crank out. Put it all back together again. Planned on doing an autocross with it, never ended up getting there. Get some break-in miles put on it to do these events. These are a track cross, so kind of like autocross, but it's on the track. It's higher speed, still point to point. Should be a pretty fun event, but cross my fingers that the car makes it through, as it's been it's been fun. Now we got just a little over 1,000 miles in the car since the build, so it's got plenty of break-in miles in it. I did an oil change afterwards. There's a lot of speculation of things that could have been, of why it blew up the second time. I'm pretty certain that it was low-speed pre-ignition on why it blew up the first time. That seems pretty common with the cars. We've seen that on a couple of the Audi engines. I had to read a lot into what causes that and how to prevent it. But pretty excited to get back out there today and see what the car does. The GTIs in general have always been close to me. I've had a Mark IV, I've had a Mark V, I've had a Mark VI, and then now a Mark VII. So it completes my, well, not really. I mean, the Mark VIII's are out now, so maybe a new one will be in my future at some point. But it completes my stretch of GTIs at least. They're pretty cool. That, I mean, you could have tires in the back. Now that I've gotten rid of all of my trailering and truck days, so through driving through all the snowstorms and everything on the way out here this morning, I was able to, you know, have the all seasons on the car and then have the go fast tires in the back. I didn't really know what I was going to do this morning because it's still pretty cold. It's 28 degrees, and summer tires really don't like temperatures, you know, at or below freezing. I think I'm going to change I'm definitely going to change at some point today. It's supposed to be like 40 degrees. I'm not sure what I'll do for the first heat. My gut tells me I'm probably going to just go to Summers and just stay there all day, and just I'll be a little careful, you know, on braking and what it's going to do. There is going to be snow on both sides of the course. You know, they won't have anything on the track. They have all that cleared off, but certainly, like, there's no grass to hit. You go off the track, you're into the snow, and needing a tow. So don't want to get there today. We'll see how that plays out. But had some friends that were supposed to join me today, and unfortunately he had some car trouble last minute. It isn't going to be down, so really don't know the people that I'm racing with. It's obviously a class that's new to me. I'm excited. It's just fun to just be out and getting some track laps in this early in the season. Go. Getting ready to head back out. This morning I ran on all seasons, just didn't have enough time to change them. Felt like it was going to be too much of a rush, and really didn't know what the car was going to do anyways. It was fun on track, but you know, of course I get into the pit lane and I get an EP, or I get a low oil pressure light. Seems to go away as soon as I get it up to past idle a little bit, so get it out onto the track, and it's definitely down on power. I get an EPC light after the first time. You know, I'm thinking that maybe I should turn off. It's not really making any noise. Everything seems okay. And then I get 2 or 3 runs where the car runs okay, as long as I keep it out of high RPMs. I mean, I'm here, so I'm going to continue riding the day. We'll see how the next 2 sessions go. So there's 3 different tracks, I guess, here at Summit Point. As somebody who's been here more could you know, fill me in. But we ran Jefferson Circuit this morning. I don't even know the track that we're going to now. I guess we're running the main track, you know, for the second round. And then Shenandoah later on. So there's 3 different tracks that they bring you over to. So different section. It's hard to learn them each time. The last track, there was a lot of like blind crests, and there was some snow at the apexes, so it was a little sketchy. The car did a lot of sliding around on all seasons. We'll see how it does on Summers now. Might be a little bit on the cold side for the Summers. I guess these next 2 tracks are a little bit more open, so higher speed, which the car seems less happy about. So we'll see about that as well. I didn't do too bad. I was running at the top of the pack for a little while. I ended up in 3rd, about a 1.5 seconds off of the leader, and only a couple tenths off of 2nd place. Both of them were on summer tires. There's one other guy in my class that is running all seasons, so you know, I'm the only person to switch, so we'll see how that stacks up against the two guys that were in front of me, you know, for the next session. And more importantly, hopefully the car's okay. So we'll give that a shot.
Get ready, go. Ready?
Yep.
Go.
There's the problem right there. Well, this is not the update that I wanted to be giving. It's a little after 7 o'clock. Racing ended at 3. As you can see, the GTI is parked behind me, and I'm at a storage facility here right outside of the gate of the racetrack. Heat 2 went pretty well. Car was a lot of fun. Really didn't give me a lot of trouble. It was almost like it was just kind of teasing me that everything was cool. Ended up, I was third in the morning, went at second in the afternoon, and then went into the third heat, which is over at the Shenandoah circuit, and had a pretty rough time over there. The first run, I caught the person in front of me like halfway through the lap. Just kind of nursed it around behind her. Had a ton of problems with the rear end of the car. It was just very, very, very drifty. Almost went around on me a couple times. It was, I mean, I'm used to that in a rear-wheel drive car with power. But a front-wheel drive car, it's a little unnerving. But quick hands. I mean, it was all right, but by the third run, the car started going into limp mode. I would get the, you know, EPC light and hold me at 4,000 RPM. Car just fell on its face. It's fine on a restart. This morning I noticed there was at idle, the car had like a weird kind of whine to it that I didn't really notice before. And I just, you know, I'm not really sure. I think the car's got electric steering, and not a normal power steering pump, but it kind of was that kind of whine noise. Well, by the afternoon when I was getting these limp mode, I was also getting a battery warning. So I was turning the car off in grid because, you know, if I'm going to preserve battery life, I might as well get my runs in, right? Because clearly I'm not going to make it home the 3.5 hours to go home anyways. So I wanted to try to at least get the racing day in, which it took me all the way to my very last run to finally get a semi-complete-ish run. The car still went into limp mode, had the battery light on the whole time. But it didn't go into limp mode until I was in the very last corner. So I just dove down to the inside, cut as much distance as I could, and just stood at 4,000 RPM all the way through the line, which dropped a ton of time because I didn't have any other good runs, and won the class. So that's the good news. The bad news is, of course, the battery light's still on. Not going to make it to Pittsburgh. The alternators seem like they're pretty hard to find for this car. I did find one about an hour and a half away. Super friendly people here at the track. I met a lot of people today that were just over the top. Guy was willing to actually take the alternator off of his car, drive here. He's about an hour away. Help me put it on the car so I can get home. Of course, I don't have any tools or anything with me. I didn't plan on fixing the car today. You know, I really don't want to put people out like that. Some of the other parts stores could get one for tomorrow morning. That would involve, you know, getting an Uber to a hotel room tonight, staying in a hotel room, getting an Uber back here, trying to borrow tools, get an alternator. That didn't really seem like the right move either. So my lovely wife is driving 3.5 hours to come pick me up. And then 3.5 hours home. We're not gonna get home till about 11 o'clock tonight. I owe her I owe her a lot. You know, she hates this car, rightfully so. It has been a huge thorn in our sides at this point. I think that this is probably completely unrelated and everything, and so I mean, working in the car industry, I understand how this stuff happens, but God, it sucks. So I guess the plan at this point is to get home. Probably get a trailer, come back up here with her car, and tow it home, so I could work on it in a warm garage, and, you know, with all the tools that I would ever need, rather than try to, you know, build a tool bag and come up here, and then still try to figure out 2 people and how to get the car home. And yeah, God, that seems like a headache as well. So the GTI woes continue. Okay, well, it's the following day now. Back up here at Summit Point, with the trailer, Q7. Unfortunately, this is starting to be a familiar scene. Man, it was a long day yesterday. It was not getting on the road till 4 o'clock in the morning, and by the time Jen got up here, we got some dinner and got turned around and went home. got very cold in the car with no heat. Not been able to run the car at all. It was after midnight by the time we got in, and then turn around today. So I was able to find a U-Haul trailer local. So drove back up here, picked up the trailer, can get the thing back home. A lot better than trying to borrow somebody's trailer again to get it there. So man, this has been one hell of a trip again to the track. They got another 2 weeks before they've got another event up here again. I'd love to be up here, so hopefully we can get this thing quickly fixed and try to get a little bit of confidence back in it to be able to do this again without my wife you know, being on standby to come bail me out again.